sucked.
Is that what it sounds like?
Yeah.
Do you have experience in this area?
You've never heard? You've never heard?
Have you sucked a soul, or has your soul been sucked?
My soul's been sucked. I've never sucked. Not that I wouldn't be against it. It's just the opportunity hasn't come up yet.
You're the yeah. This I can't go down this path here. I can't go down that path.
I was like, how far can you take it?
Welcome back to episode 79.
79. Damn it.
79 of the Last Row podcast, Mortal Pre-Combat. If you're looking for our website, thelastrowpodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at The Last Row Pod, Facebook.com/The Last Row Pod, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Thanks to everybody that left us a 5-star review. We're also on Podchaser. Leave us a 5-star review there too. Badway, been anticipating this one.
Yes.
We're a week late, but
hot off the presses. Hey, they didn't align with our release schedule. That's their fault.
They actually pushed it back even further. Yeah. So, we could have done this on time here.
Yeah, had they done it when they said they were going to do it, we could have done it when we wanted to do it. Anyways, Mortal Kombat 2021.
Mortal Kombat!
Directed by Simon McQuoid. McQuoid?
McQuoid? Howdy McQuoid.
Howdy McQuoid. An action fantasy video game movie. IMDb 6.3 out of 10.
That's all right. It's about right.
54% Metacritic.
It's about right.
A little low. Actually, that was Rotten Tomatoes. Metacritic 44%. That's too low.
Too low.
Hunted by the fearsome warrior Sub-Zero, MMA fighter Cole Young finds sanctuary at the temple of Lord Raiden. Training with experienced fighters Liu Kang, Kung Lao, and the rogue mercenary Kano, Cole prepares to stand with Earth's greatest champions to take on the enemies from the Outworld in a high-stakes battle for the universe. Drew.
The universe. So they're upping the stakes here to the universe now. Usually it's Earth, but I don't know, man. I don't know about that. They left out some key details here.
Definitely. So we're doing this Mortal Kombat, the new and improved Mortal Kombat that's out in theaters now and also on HBO Max, or if you stream it illegally, which some of us do. I'm not naming names. I am a paid subscriber to HBO Max, so thank you very much. But
thanks, Warner Media.
We're doing this movie because we love the series. We did the first two movies in our archives, Drew. Two of our favorites. I loved them.
Go back. I'll put the link in the show notes. Episode 21, Mortal Kombat. We did that one back in November of 2015. And then we did Mortal Kombat Annihilation, episode 61. Again, I'll put the link. That was June 1st, 2017. It's a long time ago, man.
Drew, this podcast in years is too old to only have 79 episodes.
Yeah, that's good.
I like to think that we're exclusive, though.
We are.
So
we are.
Less is more.
We are.
Less is more.
I definitely want to talk to you about how this holds up and where this fits in the Mortal Kombat universe, because there's also some animated films. There's, ever since we've done the other ones, there's those web series ones, which are actually kind of pretty sweet. And, there's a lot of lore to this. There's been multiple video games that came out since we've done this too. New video games, you go back to the old ones. We've got, the originals, the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis series. But there's a ton of new content out there since this came out. So Mortal Kombat has only expanded in the lore.
So, to be completely honest and fair with the audience, my Mortal Kombat knowledge is really 1 through 3 and the 2 movies.
Yeah.
I didn't dabble in Deadly Alliance or the Sub-Zero Chronicles. Mythologies. I rented it for a week and it was terrible. I didn't do Mortal Kombat 4 on Super Nintendo, which is also bad. I rented it and took it back right away. And then on and on and on and on. And the series kind of I feel like admittedly its fans would say it took a dive.
It did.
Until it came back.
It was MK9, right?
MK9, yeah.
Which I'll tell you, I agree with you. I played 1, 2, and 3, and then there was 3 Ultimate or something where they had 64
Ultimate,
fighters.
Ultimate 3 was the last one I owned before I seriously played through 9 and 10.
Me too.
I haven't played through 11 yet, but I'm getting there. I do have it.
The new games. Well, actually, I'll start with 4. So let me just say it's not even on the notes. We're way off script here already. But Mortal Kombat 4. The reason why I thought that game was bad was that they tried to introduce sort of a 3D
Yeah.
arena in a way.
They
and
weren't ready. They weren't ready.
You could turn, and I remember being at the arcade, and people, Mortal Kombat was like, put your quarter on the machine, like we talk about. You got to reserve your spot. That game, like people wanted to like it, but I could tell that they didn't like it. It just wasn't as good.
It had weapons on the ground that you could pick up, but since it was 3D, it was like hard to line it up.
Yeah,
it was.
I don't
I'm
know.
sure once if you took the time to learn, it was fine. But no,
it wasn't great.
Yeah,
but
But anyway, sorry to get us off track there.
Since the last movies that we've done, there's been a ton of lore that's been added here. Like I said, there's actually an animated movie out on HBO Max that I want to check out, like a Scorpion one. But getting back to this one, tagline.
Hashtag we'll get to this later.
Hashtag we'll get to this later.
So we will compare the movies. Hashtag we'll get to it later.
Tagline : get over here. Simple.
I mean, it's pretty stock and simple. And it goes along with like one of the things I loved about this new movie was the almost cheesy self-awareness.
Yes.
Of some of the like fatality, get over here, that kind of stuff. Flawless victory. They really laid it on. They weren't even trying to like seamlessly like add it into the movie. It was almost, I wouldn't say it was forced, but it was obvious that they were winking at you when they were doing these things.
I liked the leaning into it, like just lean into it and own it.
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as Mortal Kombat Annihilation, like in terms of when they were like, oh, feel your animality. Remember that whole like weird sexual undertone?
I felt very uncomfortable when
that was really weird with those, second rate like adult film actors.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't right. But going back to this one, the budget for this obviously was a little bit higher than Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Sure. They had $55 million to work with, and the box office pool, so in the middle of the pandemic, listening to this in 2021, $50.1 million. So they basically made it back, and that doesn't take into account...
That's 1 week, right?
Yeah, and that doesn't take into account the streaming aspect of it, right? So this is live right now. It's making money.
Yeah, so I mean, it was released, I believe, on the 23rd, and this is we're recording this on May 1st, 2021. So after a week, it's already almost made its budget back.
Yeah.
Do you think the budget was spent wisely? Like, how did you think it looked, the movie in general?
I'll say this, and I think the interesting thing is that I got to give credit. I mentioned Jeremy Johns on the show before, too. He's a YouTuber that I watch a lot of times for reactions to things and his review of the movie. And the one thing that he said, and I kind of agree with him, was it seemed like they spent the budget a little weirdly. Like, they had these shots of Outworld, but it was like a drone shot of like people walking in a desert. Yeah. And then there was like a chair on like a mountain, and that was kind of it from Outworld. And then they showed some people like working with like chains on their legs, sort of like a sweat camp or something, or some type of like internment camp, like slave labor type stuff. And I just felt like he said this, and I'll give the guy credit. You don't need to show that. Like, just show it or don't show it. And they kind of half-assed it. And that was like one of the complaints that I had.
It's a good point. When you half-ass it, it's like, it's almost like you have no ass,
Yeah. Like they could have showed different aspects of that, or just maybe talked about it, because it wasn't necessarily needed for what it was.
So did they pretty much like blow their budget on Sub-Zero?
I think so. I mean, and rightfully so. They
his stuff looked great. Yeah.
I mean, so like, let's dive into it. What were your expectations with this film? So you saw, when you knew this was coming out, were you excited? Like, how were you feeling ready to watch this?
I mean, I was skeptical at first, just because when I heard the new Mortal Kombat was coming out, I know how we were left with Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yeah.
But I also knew that anyone that's willing to take on this movie knows that going in, that it needs redemption. And so, yeah, I did. And then when I saw the trailer, I mean, the trailer looked fantastic. I mean, but we all know that a trailer can be whatever.
Right.
Just look at Medellin. That movie was terrible. The trailer was great.
I mean, this was Billy Walsh. No Billy Walsh here directing this.
Yeah, right. We got a newcomer director, and not a lot of names at all, really, in this movie, except for your boy
Joe Taslim.
Joe Taslim. But yeah, I was pumped for it. Absolutely. And I know you were, because we were texting back and forth like a month before this was coming out. Like, oh my God, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait. This is the day. Mortal Kombat's coming out in a week. And then they pushed it back. And then we're all bummed because they pushed it back. So yeah, definitely. And the pushback also only raised the
expectations.
The expectations for it.
Well, I'll say this. Something that was interesting about this movie coming into it was, this is one of the movies that I can say in recent memory where you didn't really see anything about it outside of, hey, they're making this. There was no pictures. There was nothing for the longest time until like a couple months before it came out. And what was it? They only released the trailer like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Like no one had seen anything about it.
Is this a post-pandemic world move though, Drew?
I don't know, but it was just really odd.
Because we were before we hit record, we were just talking about Zack Snyder's new zombie movie, Army of the Dead. Yeah. And that's the same scenario. I had no idea that movie existed, and all of a sudden the trailer drops like 2 weeks ago, and the movie's coming out May 14th.
I'm kind of, and I'm kind of all for that because I don't need to see a lot of things spoiled about the movie beforehand. Like, and I'm the kind of guy that's like, I don't want to see the trailer, but I'm going to watch it. And I'm dumb. Like, I'll do it. Yeah. I'll watch it, but I know I shouldn't.
Yeah. So I guess maybe trailers or like teasers or like, we need to see this a year in advance. Maybe that's reserved for like the biggest of big movies, like a Star Wars movie or a new Marvel or DC movie. The crowd pleasers, if you will. But maybe these, like Mortal Kombat, it's a big movie, but it's not like huge. Like it doesn't appeal to a wide audience, and neither does a zombie movie. So maybe they are more suited for, oh, hey, isn't this trailer cool? By the way, you can watch it in 2 weeks. Yeah. Like that's awesome.
I would just say it's just really odd that there was nothing, like not even pictures or set pictures or, hey, here's character designs. Like when stuff's coming out, the marketing aspect of it, there's like a marketing machine, right? They want to build and generate as much hype as possible. And this one, they almost generated hype by not showing anything. Yeah. And then they kept talking about the rating. So they said, oh, it's going to be as close to NC-17 as possible. And to be honest, completely honest. Yeah. I've seen way more violent films than this.
Sure.
Like there was some gruesome things, but it wasn't what I mean, I think they hyped that a lot.
But we're also desensitized to that specific level of violence because it was in the video game as far back as 1994.
True.
True.
I mean, do you think the trailer misset any expectations? Did it meet your expectations? Like, what did you expect going in and did it deliver? We'll talk more about the rating later. But
I wasn't expecting great acting. I was expecting a good story, a good setup, and a possible, lead into future movies, more sequels. And I wanted to see a lot of my favorite characters actually not look like adult film actors in a parody.
What, the bad taste in your mouth from episode 61.
Can I get a good costume designer, please? Can we get this? I mean, let's spend the budget on the costumes, please. And for the most part, I think they did that.
They did. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. So I'll maybe we can dive in a little bit of the setup and how this movie worked, because we joked about it being Mortal pre-combat or pre-Mortal Kombat. Yeah. I think a lot of people expected back in, the 95 film where the movie was set around the tournament. I think, going into this, no one really knew what to expect. People may have been disappointed because they thought that this movie was going to be the tournament. Mm-hmm. It didn't need to be the tournament.
It didn't have to be.
But I also can understand where some people have some gripes about how it wasn't the tournament and they treated it, because it was basically everything but a tournament. And maybe that was the biggest thing where I was expecting something different. But the two biggest things for this movie that are very different than the other, and I'm not up to speed on the lore of the current games. Like I've played them, but I have not played through all the stories, so I can't fully speak on it, was this aspect of the characters having a marking and being chosen for this greater, tournament power type thing. Yeah. And finding your arcana, which was also something that I believe, I could be wrong, that they invented for this movie. So what were your thoughts on that? And did that bother you? Like, it seemed like people were not okay with that. I'm just curious, like, where did that sit with you?
I mean, I haven't looked up a lot of people's reactions to this movie besides my own and yours and a couple of other friends of ours. But yeah, I was fine with that, the marking aspect of it. Like, I thought that was pretty cool. Like, oh, you are destined to fight in this tournament from birth, even if you don't know it until Sub-Zero's hunting you down, right? Yeah. I'm fine with that. But the whole Arcana thing, to me, it just felt like a video game, like a meter that is being like built up throughout. Like, oh man, Cole Young's Arcana meter is almost full because he's almost dead from Goro, you know? Or Kano's Arcana meter just shot up because they yelled at him a bunch of times. And all of that was kind of, I don't know, a little unnecessary. Like, I get, like, it's kind of a lazy way of character building.
Yeah,
to me.
Sort of. It was a little cheesy to me.
But in a movie like this, where you just want to get to the meat and potatoes of the fighting, to me anyway, and I'm fine with them, taking shortcuts on the story. But what about you?
I didn't dislike the marking thing as much, but I wasn't a huge fan of the Arcana stuff because I just thought it wasn't necessary. Like, I don't need to understand how they get the superpowers. Just give them the superpowers. I don't care. I mean, I get it if they're trying to give, like you said, the backstory. It gives character motivations and stuff. But
it's rocket ship development, because I guess it is kind of cool that they are kind of normal people until they're not, until pushed to the brink. Like, I guess that kind of makes sense, because like Sonya Blade, like she can't fire pink rings as a human on Earth.
Yeah,
she has to get put through the ringer in Outworld.
Well, I don't even know that she was in Outworld. She was in Raiden's temple at that point,
or whatever it was.
It's weird. Yeah. I don't know.
I think Raiden's temple has superpowers, Drew. I don't know for sure.
It just looked like a mud hut to me. Yeah, it was like some random. I don't know. It wasn't bad. I mean, it was an interesting take on it. So but it wasn't. It wasn't my favorite aspect of it, but it was fine. Like, I can understand people's gripes with it, but I also didn't hate it.
Yeah, put it that way. It didn't like take me away from the movie. It wasn't greatly executed, but I was like, fine, no problem. If that's how you want to do it, fine.
I'll say this, like, it wasn't needed, but I get it. Mm-hmm. But what was needed and what we got?
Yes.
Some Bihan, Sub-Zero.
Bihan!
And some Scorpion.
Yes.
And I'm just going to say this, and I think you would agree with me. There wasn't enough of them in this movie.
No, not enough Scorpion. Not enough Sub-Zero. I guess this... So, Sub-Zero, obviously, total spoiler. Please watch the movie. I mean, I don't think we did anything yet to spoil the movie for those that haven't seen it. But
maybe the soul suck, I guess.
But yeah, well, I mean, we didn't say whose soul was sucked.
Yeah. I mean, it's important to know.
All you know is a soul was sucked.
And we didn't say who was sucking the soul either.
Yeah,
so.
we didn't even say who was sucking the soul. Could have been anybody. The best soul sucker in town.
Yeah, it's a real pro sucker.
Yeah. So, I mean, what the hell was I even talking about, Drew? You get me all going on soul sucking, and then I just lose all track of what's going on. I loved the story throughout the movie of Sub-Zero and Scorpion, even though we get it full blown in the beginning, and then nothing until the very end of the
bookends.
They're the bookends. Now we get Sub-Zero throughout the movie, which is obviously awesome, and he did a great job. Your boy, what is it, Joe?
Joe Taslim.
Joe. I want to call him Talisman. He's not a talisman. Joe Talisman. But
he's got magical powers.
Yeah.
Of acting.
But I think he did a great job as almost like a movie monster.
Yeah.
A stalker, a Jason or a Michael Myers, if you will.
Yeah.
Those scenes were great, but I wanted like maybe one more.
Yeah,
there wasn't enough. Give me one more Sub-Zero scene. But maybe that's great. Maybe that's them like leaving them wanting more, and maybe it made them all the more effective at the end of the movie.
I say that I love the backstory. I love the opening of the movie. I love how they set that up. I love the lore of it too, and just the fact that he had these powers. Like the way that his powers worked were so cool. Yeah. The way, like, remember in the first one in '95 when basically Sub-Zero gets wasted, he just makes a bucket of ice and he swings it, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And they did some cool martial arts and stuff in the first one, but he got pretty much right away, and he just it was whatever, right? He was wasted.
Right.
But the fact that he was like the boogeyman of this movie, the like you said, the Jason or the Michael
Myers.
Perfect
word. He was the boogeyman. Yeah.
He was stalking people, and I loved him. He's like this wraith, and it was awesome. And the way that the CG did, they definitely wisely spent their budget on that too, because the ice effects and the fact that like when he was about to show up, it just starts getting cold. Yeah. Like that is so cool to me, and I loved it. Yeah. I love that aspect.
And like
it
it starts snowing. It's like that. It was a very cool atmosphere.
Like
every time he was there. Great fight against Jax. Yeah. Obviously ripping Jax's arms off.
And he's got the moves too. So like the actor Joe Taslim. I mean, if you don't know him, he's been in the Raid. He's in another movie. I think it's called The Night Comes for Us, which is a really cool movie on Netflix. It's like these Indonesian action films. He's definitely got the moves, and
Yeah.
he was great in the role, even though you didn't see his face the whole time. Like I thought he did a great job as Sub-Zero. It was great casting.
Yeah, and he and the actor who played Scorpion, his name's escaping me, but
Yeah.
their chemistry was very apparent from the beginning. I would love to see a full movie of just them going at it back in the ancient times.
That's the thing that I think is so, we could talk about this throughout this whole episode here. The coolest thing about something like a Mortal Kombat, if you do it right, you could build a really cool cinematic universe. And I'm not saying that every movie needs to be a cinematic universe, because I get that people are tired of that thing. But Marvel's done it so well where they have these spin-off movies. And like, would you not watch a Sub-Zero spin-off movie with him with the Lin Kuei and just basically being an assassin?
Yeah.
And same with Scorpion, or even just like you said, a movie of those two would be awesome.
Or even now, I believe that there's too many TV shows nowadays. So I don't recommend having this series be a TV show, a series where you binge. But imagine a world where there's a Mortal Kombat series and each episode is kind of an anthology. It's kind of like each episode is a character or two characters and their backstories. Like kind of like how kind of like a what's that damn show?
Well, they did that web series. Do you remember that? They did that.
They did.
But it wasn't maybe what you're saying.
It wasn't fully fleshed out. Fully fleshed out. I'm talking about prestige TV, HBO,
like
Netflix,
HBO or something,
or Netflix or Hulu, something like that. Like that would be cool to me. And then you can kind of culminate it in the end with one grand finale.
I like too how with Scorpions, we didn't talk enough about Scorpion yet, but the rivalry between them and Sub-Zero Bihan was trying to end that bloodline, and that was interesting.
Yep.
But the way that he got his spear, I liked how they did that. It was the gardening tool. Or I don't know if it was specifically a gardening tool, but his wife was using it for a gardening, and then he wound up tying it to the string or the rope, and he was using it. And it was pretty awesome. I love that aspect of it. That whole fight and the way that his family, like the setup for that.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is kind of like two different movies at that point when it kicked over. And, there's just a bunch of other characters in this film that some of them are hit or miss. I'll be honest. Like, Sub-Zero and Scorpion are absolute fire.
Top of the line. And it's almost like they preloaded the beginning of it.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be kind of goofy and a little funny in ways. I thought it was going to be super serious for 90 minutes.
And I'm okay with the humor aspects of it, but I think where this movie goes a little off to me is the Cole Young aspect.
Okay.
And I've heard rumors. Now I don't know if this is true or not, but I thought I saw some stuff online where they were saying, or they had alluded to, that Cole Young was almost like a studio mandate. They wanted this everyman that the audience could live through vicariously. He was sort of the vessel that the audience was watching.
The vessel.
And I just felt personally that it wasn't necessary. And I go back to Jeremy Johns. He said it in the video that I watched him do. And I thought he made a really good point. He said that there's so many characters in the Mortal Kombat lore. Like, it was just weird that they would invent a new one. And I don't even blame the actor. Like, I thought the actor was good. Like, he's in other stuff. That guy was fine. I just think that the character was, the guy jokes. He's like, you're a punching bag. Like, he was getting his ass kicked the whole time. And I get that was what he needed to find his Arcana.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of that aspect of it. It wasn't bad, but it just was an odd choice to me. It
was kind of blah, right?
Did you like it?
So I liked the idea of it. I liked the idea of a new character being almost I guess you would call him the main character.
Yeah.
Right? Or the heart of the movie. I'm okay with that. I agree with you that I don't believe it was executed properly by the writers. I think the actor was fine. I think the writing of that character was a little blah and a little, I didn't really care for him personally. I didn't care for his family, which is, it's bad to say, but I'm sorry. Like, I didn't, like, emotionally.
You're heartless, man.
Like when Sub-Zero showed up knocking on their back door of the farmhouse, like, I wasn't afraid for their lives.
Were you kind of like, man, maybe they don't have to watch these people anymore then?
Yeah,
Get back to the fighting here. Get this over with.
Right. I don't know why, but I just didn't feel that way.
They didn't invest you in him. Honestly,
No, they didn't. You know, they gave us the opening scene of
the
him
ice cream
where,
scene.
yeah, where he loses the fight, and then the ice cream scene. All of a sudden, Sub-Zero's on top of them, and then it's off to the races, right?
Yeah.
But but I was reading an article about the director. The director was talking about that character, and he said that they liked having the license the license to like freely create a character, give him his own moves,
Fair
kind
enough.
of like create their own new Mortal Kombat character from scratch,
Fair
right?
enough.
And I'm sure that he'll probably be in the next Mortal Kombat game, Mortal Kombat 12, whatever comes out. I assume they will, but yeah, wasn't feeling him. Wasn't feeling his what was it, his skin
His
suit?
Arcana. Yeah, like
You
I
know?
don't. He had like a. It was almost like take one of those, I don't know, superhero movies and take the mask off and just put the suit on. He had like scorpion skin or something with these
Yeah.
weird like, I don't know, what do you call those fire poker things that you do to like poke a fire when you're making a fireplace? It's like
a poker.
a poker, yeah, a poker for fire. But he
what
had
do they call
that,
those
and
things?
it's
Yeah.
just I don't know, like his rubber suit like it accepted the energy blast or something. It was just I don't know.
It looked too much like a superhero suit,
It looked cheap.
and yeah, didn't use the budget money on that.
It just didn't. I don't know. Like they could have. I don't know. Make him a boxer or something. I don't know. It didn't
Like Balrog.
Yeah. Like I don't know. It just seemed weird. I don't know. It's funny. Like I wonder what you were saying before. I'm thinking back to our Street Fighter episode, is episode 74, when they were saying the stunt coordinator he didn't know the game, and like you were joking about how he should have done the research. Like I think clearly, I'll say this movie definitely respected the source material, and you can tell that they tried to be faithful to it. I mean, we're talking about creating a new character, but it seemed like for the most part, they approached this with kind of the respect that I think the fans would have wanted. There's a very passionate community of fans for the series, right? And the games and all the lore and stuff. And I don't know, it's just I'm curious to see if they'll put him in the next game, like you said, or even in the next movie. And will he be the main character of the next movie, or will they kind of put him off to the side? Because it seems like there's a lot of backlash against his character.
Yeah, I hope that he is not the focus of the next movie. That's all I'll say.
I thought, to be honest, where they could have taken it was he's a descendant of Scorpion, right? Scorpion's family. They thought that, and for the people that have seen the movie, right, you'll realize that Sub-Zero's clan was trying to kill off the bloodline, and they thought that they did it. And Raiden made away with this baby, and it was, whatever, Cole Young's great whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
And he's still alive. And I thought they were going to go the route of he was going to become Scorpion.
And
that would have been cool.
Yeah, if he like somehow died.
Yeah.
And then was resurrected as, or whatever. Who knows? I'm no writer.
That would have been a cooler angle that I think they could have taken. But
It could have redeemed Cole's character.
And I thought that could have been neat. But I don't know. I mean, he wasn't my favorite. But I mean, there's some other folks. So like, what did you think of Sonya and Kano? Because obviously Kano, to me and a lot of people, he made this movie.
I have one question about Sonya and Kano to you, Drew.
Yeah.
Have they had anger sex before?
I think they definitely have, and I think that's where maybe this is where the question is who was angrier.
You know the move where like two characters are just kicking each other's asses, and then like they just start kissing.
Yeah,
they end up rolling on top of each other. Yeah. All of a sudden, it's a make out sesh.
That's a move that would have happened in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, they should have. I mean, it wasn't NC-17, but they could have gone down that path.
I think Kano would have been all for it, but would Sonya take any of that?
No.
Or do you think
she definitely
would she shut that down?
She'd shut it down.
Or this iteration of Sonya anyway.
Yeah, this iteration of Sonya was pretty tough. I mean, she didn't have the marking.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah. Maybe Veronica Vaughn's Sonya Blade from back in the old Mortal Kombat days. Yeah. They would have got it on, Drew.
What do you think of these two, just in general, and like maybe the chemistry between them?
I liked obviously you like Kano. Everybody's gonna love Kano in this movie. He was the comic relief, and he's such the quick wits, the jokes. I think you told me that he's like an improv actor in a way.
I think in Australia,
that showed through in many scenes. But I also kind of like Sonya as well. I thought that
she was pretty good.
She was kind of a kick-ass character. Definitely an improvement in that area over the Sonya Blades from the other movies.
I agree. She had a better like presence about her. She seemed like more on I don't know, she could hang with everybody, whereas
Yeah.
the actresses that they picked in the past,
Mhm.
I just didn't fit in with everybody else, and I thought she was pretty good. But
I thought her bunker, her and Jax's bunker, they had like all this information, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to figure this all out, and like they got nowhere.
Yeah.
They had no idea what was going on.
She
and
had
they
detailed files.
and then they finally had Kano say, "Oh, you know what? I know where this place is. I'll take it."
Yeah, he gets a GPS and they just get in the plane.
For $3 million. I'll take it. Like how much research went on? Like the walls were littered with like pin-ups and information, but like it all led to nowhere. They had no clue what was going on.
So what'd you think of the backstory for her? Because the way that they put the backstory was that they're ex-military. They're not working for the military right now, right? They're like in their own garage doing that research,
Yeah.
right? That wasn't funded by the government.
Yeah, that it seems like a total what do you call it?
It's like their own operation.
Their own operation, out for themselves. Yeah, totally. Because like, who's gonna believe them? Oh, there's this tournament. It's coming, or whatever.
I thought Kano had, definitely the best lines. He was a scene stealer every time he was in it, and honestly, he made the movie. And the actor was just perfect. I was a little disappointed that he didn't have like the cybernetic eye, and it was maybe they'll get that because at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, when she stabs him with the lawn gnome, maybe he's back in the next movie with like a cybernetic eye or something. Maybe that's setting it up. But I thought he as a character was funny as hell. He had all these one-liners, and as you go through the movie, he kind of. You almost like watching the movie through him in a way.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I liked where that was going. But do you think that like Sonya and Jax, when they were doing this research and they were trying to find, whatever was going on about this tournament, like if they didn't find Kano, would they have ever found, anything?
No, never.
They had all these like paparazzi shots of guys and stuff. Cole Young, it's like, Jax shows up at the gym where he's at. Hell of a fight, man.
Yeah.
Actually wasn't. He got his ass kicked pretty bad, but
he just hung on. He hung on.
It was just a weird situation where they were doing this research and they were trying to find the tournament. It didn't seem like they'd ever been successful. And Raiden, scumbag alert, didn't reach out to them. Certainly didn't reach out to them.
Yeah. You would think that if someone was a fan or at least of the tournament, Raiden would have known about it. Say, hey guys, are you really interested in this? Are you guys good fighters?
I got thoughts on him, man. Yeah. I got a lot of thoughts, but what'd you think of Jax? Because Jax was teamed up with Sonya.
Yeah, as with Kano and Sonya has the enemy sex. I don't see Sonya and Jax that way. I think they're like a brother-sister duo.
Oh, that's a brother-sister duo.
Yeah,
well,
they're not
right?
romantically involved whatsoever. They're brother-sister for sure.
Yeah.
I loved like them showing the arms being ripped off. It was a great fight with Sub-Zero. He was totally outmatched. Made Sub-Zero the ultimate villain that he would become in the movie.
Yeah.
Gave him the reputation and the all due respect, built him up as the total villain. It was a squash match, basically, as they say, And I like that he spent a lot of the movie with no arms. And then he got the cyber arms and they were real skinny.
On that table.
Real skinny arms, Drew, little baby arms.
What'd you think of his Arcana? His Arcana was slightly bigger arms.
Yeah, but like that was my favorite Arcana. It was my favorite buildup. It was badass.
I just thought it was so. I thought it was kind of lame for Arcana. Like he had skinny robot arms, and it was funny because like Kano was just ripping him to shreds for it. And he was like teasing him, and this guy's like defeated, and then he gets like and his arms get bigger. Did they give him like special metal that was like conductive to the Arcana so that it got expanded?
I guess, but he had to do it. They gave him they went 75%. And he had to go the other 25.
He had to find the other.
You're selling it short. It's not just bigger arms, Drew. He was able to do the ground pound. Like it has like special features to it besides just him being able to lift
the
more
head
weights.
Smash.
Yeah,
lift more weights. I'll say this. Blows Mortal Kombat Annihilation out of the water and those foam arms that guy had.
Oh, yeah.
They were so bad. This actually looked pretty damn cool. And again, to the point where they spent the budget pretty well, I thought he looked pretty awesome.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the other guys? So throughout this movie, again, not to touch in the plot, but it's very simple. They've got these markings and they wind up at Raiden's temple. Basically they met Kano and they wind up at Raiden's temple. And that's where you get introduced to Kung Lao, Liu Kang, and scumbag of the movie, Raiden.
Scumbag Raiden. Raiden gets no love in these movies.
Because, and honestly, I'm just going to go out and say this. Like, I know this guy is like supposed to be a pretty good actor. Like I have no issues with his acting. Just the way they wrote the character was just, I thought he was a jerk. Like he was Danny Glover's character from Angels in the Outfield. He's like, trade the team away. I don't want these scumbags.
Yeah. Like his character is meant to not interfere because he plays by the rules. Him and Shang Tsung are kind of on the sidelines. Don't interfere. Let's get these people to Mortal Kombat and let's find out what happens. But it doesn't mean that he can't guide them, and he never really guides them.
He didn't do anything. Yeah. He demeaned them.
Yeah, and I guarantee you he's taking credit for it, saying saying the demeaning is what led them to build their Arcana meter to maximum. Yeah. I guarantee you he takes credit for it.
He had Kung Lao and Liu Kang doing all the work.
Yeah.
And it's just he's a bad boss. He's a bad boss. He's a bad coach, bad mentor. Like I don't know, I just didn't like him.
Probably a bad father.
He wrote Bad Father Barometer, busted out. I don't know. I just felt like he was in the movie, but he's worthless in my opinion.
Maybe this is just a character problem. We've been through 3 movies, 3 bad iterations of Raiden. I guess the first movie, Raiden, was pretty cool.
I liked him.
But the acting was bad.
You mean Christopher Lambert talk like this?
I know what I learned? I learned that his name isn't Christopher Lambert.
It's not?
It's Christopher Lambert.
Lambert?
The T is silent. The T is silent. I never knew that. He would, too. He would make people call him Lambert.
Oh, my God. So hold on a second. So this is like 50 episodes later, and and you finally correct me on his name?
I didn't know either. I found out recently.
This is like 7 years I've been saying this wrong.
It doesn't matter. Like, who cares? Who is he?
Christopher Lambert. All the listeners probably think I'm some amateur here. No, I don't know the Highlander.
I guarantee you no one else knew that either.
Christopher Lambert.
Nobody cares. Name one more Christopher Lambert movie.
I'm going Lambert.
Yeah.
I'm saying Lambert.
This is America. We're calling him Lambert.
But give me this actor in 1995 Mortal Kombat. Maybe he was like 15 years old. I don't know. But put that actor with that writing. I actually like the supportive, cool Raiden.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to like. It's hard to write this character. It probably is, because what is he? He's the Thunder God. He's the spiritual guider, and he's a facilitator of Earth to the tournament. But is he supposed to be funny? Is he supposed to be cocky? Is he supposed to be cool? I don't know what he's supposed to be.
I like and then you got Mortal Kombat Annihilation where he's taken down a peg. Hugo Boss is like cuts his hair. He's like, oh, I like my new haircut. He's wearing the like open shirt. He's like immortal.
That was an abomination.
That was a really bad movie.
Jeez. Well,
it's really bad, but I don't know. I didn't really like Raiden, and when you go through, I really liked Kung Lao a lot, and I loved Liu Kang. Like I thought that they were awesome, and I didn't get enough of them. Yeah,
they were kind of on the side, and maybe that's on purpose. Maybe they're gonna bring Liu Kang back for the sequel to have a more prominent role. Kung Lao is really cool fighting.
We all die young, man.
Had the flyest.
The flyest.
He had the flyest, flawless victory.
Yeah, the hubcap hat.
Yeah, greatest fatality in the movie for sure. Well, maybe not. Maybe Liu Kang did.
Liu Kang,
with the
dragon thing.
Dragon.
That was pretty
actually
sweet.
That was very epic.
Even called it as a fatality.
Yeah, but yeah, that was Kung Lao's soul getting sucked, man. It's a shame.
Let me ask you, like, how do you use that hat? Is that now we're talking about this movie's supposed to be kind of grounded.
Yeah.
He's throwing this hat around. Does he have like a tracker? Is it like a boomerang? Like, how does this thing work?
I don't know, man. He's so good with it. It's almost like it's one with him.
It was cool. I like the actor who played him too. I thought he was good.
The hat is his arcana.
It is. I guess that is his, or is the agility his arcana? Like the ability to do it. So if he had a different thing, could he throw something else?
The body control.
The body control.
Yeah.
What'd you think of? So moving on to some of the other characters, what'd you think of Goro and just the CG in general?
Yeah, I think people are really going to be torn on Goro. Maybe more so towards the hate than the love. This is another hard one to do. It's hard to make a CG character, not look immediately dated in some of these movies that don't have the Marvel budget, per se. I liked it. I thought it was better than the first one.
You don't like that crazy animatronic suit where it's like the guy wearing it on his head, the suit of the guy?
And I wasn't really opposed to the original Goro. I thought he looked pretty cool. I think people are giving him a bad rap. I don't know. What do you think?
I thought the CG was fine. Like, I thought it was fine, but I just thought that the whole fight itself was wasted because the cool thing, and again, not to be like, not to be a nerd here, with the way that the lore was, I just felt like Goro was supposed to be the prince and like this. Remember, he was the previous champion, and I don't know that they said that in here.
Prince Goro.
But if he's just dead now, like, I just felt like it was without much fanfare, and it just seemed like a waste of a cool character, even though there's other characters that they could use.
Yeah. You know what my dream Goro scenario is to build him up like they built up Sub-Zero. Why don't they have him standing to the side of Shang Tsung?
Yeah.
You know, show him killing a bunch of randos. Make
like
me
the first movie.
Yeah, make me fear him. But the first movie kind of rocket shot him too. I want him to be there in the beginning of the movie and throughout the movie, and then someone takes him down with like 20 minutes to go.
Yeah.
I want him to be built up as a legitimate threat. Not just, oh, surprise, here's Goro. Oh, he's dead in 5 minutes? Okay.
Yeah.
Make him a legitimate threat. Make him stand next to Shang Tsung, be his bodyguard, be his prince, kill randos. Just give him some success. Give him a couple squash matches.
Well, it's like, think about a movie that's very near and dear to our hearts, Bloodsport. Yeah. Right?
Yes.
You've got, Bolo Young, the guy who's playing the character, he's like just wrecking dudes the whole time.
Yeah.
And he's flexing his pecs, like,
I want that.
Just being really cocky. Yeah. That's where they should have. I mean, I guess it wasn't the tournament, but it's too late because he's not even going to be. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. He's dead.
Yeah.
He's dead. He died.
He died.
It's weird to me that
he's dead.
That they just kind of killed him without much fanfare by Cole Young. Who's not really anybody.
It's almost like your boy said about half-assing the desert scene.
Yeah.
Maybe they half-assed Goro. They wanted to have a Goro fight, so they threw him in there. They teleported him to Earth, and he fought the weakest character for 5 minutes, and he died.
Right.
Because he got distracted by his family, and then the dude filled his econometer up.
I mean, it was a cool fight, but they could have used Reiko there, some of these other random characters that were there. That I get it, they wanted to have like Jax fight Reiko, but I don't know. It was just kind of weird to me that they used Goro in the way that they did. It was an odd choice. That's all. Like, I just thought it was weird. I mean, there's some other characters that we can talk through here real quick, but you mentioned Reiko, Nitara, Melina, but one of my favorites was Cabal. I thought he was really well done in this.
That was
actually
a surprise to me that we had no idea Cabal was coming, and they did him pretty well too.
I liked the way they did his voice. I loved his the moves. I liked his look. He had like the burnt arms and stuff.
Yep.
So I don't know the lore. I kind of forgot about Cabal. Was he always a bad guy, or was he? I didn't know whether he was bad in the
pretty
games.
sure. Pretty sure he was. Yeah, and a very glitch bitchy type character.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was glitch bitched in the movie
too.
The
spin and all that stuff.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, and he died a spectacular death.
He did.
Liu Kang.
One of you mentioned glitch. One of the best parts was how the movie was self-aware, and when Liu Kang did the what's it called, the leg knockover of Kano.
Oh yeah,
did it like 3 times in a row.
Yeah, the leg sweep.
Yeah, the leg sweep. Yep. They were totally self-aware with what they were doing, and it was actually very, very funny about how that happened.
If you play like Mortal Kombat 2 on easy mode, that's like all you have to do.
You could do that. You could
pretty much beat the game doing leg sweeps on computer.
Yeah.
No, but I thought Rico was kind of lame. Not a just fan like of that character
guy.
To begin with, anyways.
Very boring.
I liked the fake out of Nitara being a formidable opponent.
Yeah.
And then just getting flawless victory. I thought that was a cool swerve.
And the way that fatality was amazing.
Yeah. And Melina's fight with Sonya was pretty good too, and Cole. Using the teleports and all that. Like, I thought
she opened her mouth up. Yeah. So like that was really neat.
Had the teeth going. Yeah.
I like the look.
She was really good too. Yeah.
They
had a good look for her too. All these characters are pretty good looks.
I mean, I think just in general,
aside from Cole, really.
Just in general, the CG was done pretty well. Yep. It was done pretty well. But what about the main villain of the movie, and we got to throw him through the villain scale just to see how he holds up.
Let's talk about Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung. So the same actor, this guy's a pretty good actor too. He's been in a bunch of stuff. I most famously remember him from The Dark Knight when he's on the TV screen and Joker's like making fun of him.
Yeah, he's a squealer. He's a squealer.
I definitely want to get your take on this, and maybe we'll just go through the categories. So if you're new to the show, we have a villain scale here that we put each of the major villains through. We've got a couple categories, 4 of them. We've got their look and their style, their hideout and their lair, their plan, and then their henchmen. And then from each of these categories, we give a scale 1 to 5, and then we'll total them up at the end, and we'll see how they hold up. I don't know, man. His look and his style. Just hit me with this because I have some thoughts.
Yeah, well, I mean, his hair is kind of all over the place, but it fits in with villain hair.
It was.
So I'm not gonna knock him points for having villain hair, as ridiculous as it is.
He needed a ponytail, though.
Yeah.
He needed the ponytail. Why did he not have it?
Could have had a ponytail. Big missed opportunity there. I don't know. I thought his outfit was okay.
The robes?
Yeah, the robes were kind of cool. I don't know. It's middle of the pack. I'm going 2.5.
2.5?
Yeah.
I was going to go 2 because he didn't have the ponytail. Mm-hmm. He had these robes that looked like, I don't know, he just looked like he was going to bed. But
that's kind of like a flex, though.
It is.
It's kind of a flex. You know what? I'm wearing robes because you're on my time. I don't care.
The one thing I'll give it to him though, he had the black eyes. That was kind of weird. Maybe I should have given him more points, but I liked that aspect of him.
You're not tied to it. You can change him, Drew. You can change your points.
I'm going 2.5 too. Right. I'm changing it. The black
eyes got you.
And the eyes got at me, but I just felt like he overall looked very weak. He looked like a feeble character. He just didn't look very tough to me.
Well, Shang Tsung is always like an unassuming character until you fight him. So, I mean, he was an immediate threat in the old movie.
Right, that's true.
First one, so that's a little different.
And honestly, the actor from the first movie was so good. Johnny Tsunami's uncle, he just was so good.
Yeah.
That it was hard for me to see anybody else in this role, but I just feel that just the actor itself, the guy was good, but he felt a little off to me. But what about his hideout and his lair?
I don't know. Drew,
I definitely have thoughts on this.
So, remind me, what exactly is his hideout lair? Why don't you go first?
So I'm definitely going a 1 on this right now. I'm just giving him a 1 because his hideout was like a chair on like a mountain.
Yeah.
That was in Outworld that was basically part of a desert where we were saying before they just had like a drone flying over it. He didn't really have a place, and he had a statue of Shao Kahn. That was it.
Yeah. So his lair is really was overtaken by a statue of a greater man.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I agree with you. Yeah, I'm going 1 as well because I asked you to go first because honestly, I couldn't recall an actual lair taking place.
It wasn't very lair-like.
It's just a chair. It's just a chair.
Right. No. You give it. Let's say that Raiden was on the scale here. He had his own like mountain hideout, which was like a temple. That's pretty badass.
Awesome. That's pretty awesome.
By comparison, it's like a chair on a cliff. I mean, maybe
chair on a cliff.
It's like it doesn't get a 0 because it's on a cliff. That's kind of cool, but it just wasn't very good.
Like I'm sure where he sleeps at night is very badass, but they just didn't show it. I
mean, he just rolled out of bed with the robes to get there.
He probably has it. He probably has an Ed Bison style boudoir.
Yeah, I think so. The next 2 categories is where he's going to make up some points here.
Yeah, probably
because his plan. How was he trying to dominate?
So his plan was a solid 4 out of 5 because he's cheating. If you ain't cheating,
Absolutely.
you ain't trying.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah. He's trying to get people assassinated before they even show up to the tournament. And then he's going to shrug his shoulders and say, hey, sorry, Raiden. Tried to have a tournament. I guess we'll take Earth now.
Yeah.
We win by forfeit.
Dude, I'm giving him a 5 on this one. He's straight up cheating and he doesn't care.
And
they were like, oh, well, it's illegal to do this. He was like, shh. It's like he doesn't care. And he like basically, he had Sub-Zero, which gets into the next thing, but just like lurking around, killing everybody. And they're like, we'll just, you know what? We can't lose a tournament if they don't fight. Yeah. That's the ultimate plan.
It's like it's so logical. It's so logical.
It's the smartest plan of maybe all the plans of this whole podcast so far.
Yeah, there's a lot of villains that don't have logical plans, kind of nonsensical. This is as logical as it gets. We have to win this tournament. Let's cheat.
it's so foolproof. Like you can't lose if you don't play by the rules.
Yep.
What about his henchmen?
Henchman, you got to go 5 because
same.
obviously you have some of these characters headlined by Sub-Zero. I mean, as far as a sub-boss goes, Sub-Zero could almost be the villain of the entire movie.
He is.
But unfortunately, he works for someone.
Yeah.
So we can't scale him.
Is he indebted? So they didn't say this, but let me ask you this. Like, does Shang Tsung have his soul? And is that why he's lurking around?
I hate to be a fraud to the Mortal Kombat universe, but I believe so. But I could be dead wrong.
I don't know. They never said it in the movie, and I don't know how they set it up. So let's go by movie rules.
I could be dead wrong on that.
Like he clearly was not alive. He's like a wraith.
Yeah.
And he's lurking around. But my question I kept coming back to him. Like, is he controlling his soul? Because he sucked his soul? Like, I didn't know whether he got it already, but he was controlling him basically. And hands down, 5 out of 5.
Yeah, 5 out of 5. No, and that's just, let alone Sub-Zero. I mean, you got Cabal, you got Melina, you got Goro.
You had a great team.
Yeah, you got a great team.
Honestly, there's no way that the Earth team was winning, even in that tournament, because the Arcanas aside, like all those guys, I don't know. It just seemed like in a tournament, like without them getting angry to maybe fight back against them, and maybe that logically doesn't make any sense. I just feel that they personally wouldn't have lost had they actually played by the rules and went to the tournament. They were so powerful.
It's true. Yeah.
They invited the people to find their Arcanas. They shouldn't have cheated because if they cheated,
they should have surprised them. Yeah,
exactly. So I definitely am going 5 out of 5 for Henchman. Sub-Zero, best henchman of the whole podcast so far, of all of these that we've done. Hands down, one of the most badass characters.
Most likely, yes. So what do we got for a total?
13.5 for me. And you've got 9, 10. You got 12.5. So not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
We've had worse.
Not bad.
Yeah.
You know, I think where he loses it is his look and his style and his hideout and his lair, and he could have been better. Now, you know, you give me a guy like a Quan Chi here or something, or maybe like a Chinook or one of these guys, you know, maybe they'd be a lot better.
Dude, Quan
maybe
Chi.
Baraka.
I need some Quan Chi in my life, Drew.
I know, right? I guess, like, I don't know, knowing the way that this movie ends, it ends with them kind of setting up a sequel. What do you want out of a sequel?
Well, I guess first and foremost, I do want the tournament. Like, the tournament wasn't necessary for this movie, and I accept it as a precursor, as the pre-combat, as you will.
Mortal pre-combat.
Mortal pre-combat.
Pre-workout.
But I do think at some point we're going to have a tournament, and I want a Bloodsport style tournament.
Yeah,
I want something where we have, all right, these are the characters on this side, because it's always kind of vague. Yeah. It's these guys versus these guys. I want to have the rules laid out. I want to have everybody standing there pre-tournament saying these are the rules of Mortal Kombat. I want all this. I want it to be official. Because I feel like we never get that.
Yeah. Would you want the bracket on the wall, like the All Valley?
Yeah.
That's what you want?
Can you have a bracket, though? Because what if, like, all, like, the good guys end up winning? Do they have to fight each other? Like, I don't understand how tournaments that
it is
works.
to the death, I guess. So it's like there's no, like, losers bracket. They're just dead. You're a loser. You died.
Or if say you start with 6 humans and then 3 are left over versus 1 on the other side. Say it's Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
Are there 3 fights? Is it 3 on 1? Like, does Sub-Zero have to beat all 3 of them to win the tournament? You know what I mean?
I don't know how Sub-Zero's losing this tournament with the powers that he has. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, I don't know.
Unless you have a cheat code like Scorpion, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how anybody's beating the ice powers. Like, I just don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, I definitely want the tournament, and I think it has to be.
Is that too formal for this format?
I don't think so. I mean, I like it. In the first movie, right, 95, they sort of had this loose tournament where there was just kind of fights that happened.
It was very loose. I didn't know what was going on. Like, I knew, but I had no clue who was fighting
who. You know
what
that movie is? That movie was sort of like an all-inclusive resort where you're just kind of like hanging out. You want to go play volleyball, you go play volleyball. There's a volleyball match over here. Oh, cool. You're just going to go on the windsurfing over here.
They took a cruise to it. They took a boat.
Very casual.
They took a boat to Outworld.
It's like, it's just a little weird, but I definitely think they want the tournament. I read somewhere, I think we said at the beginning, the writer was predicting a pre-tournament movie, a tournament movie, and then a post-tournament movie, and that's sort of the sequel. And the movie the movie ends with them saying they're going to Hollywood. They're going to get Johnny Cage. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, what do you want from a sequel, and like what characters do you want to see?
I definitely want to see Johnny Cage, and
Have
you
to.
can't have
Have
this
to.
movie without Johnny Cage. And
There
I
was
know
there was a poster on
Yeah.
the MMA locker room wall of one of his movies, so it definitely was an Easter egg teaser there.
I know that the Miz wants to be Johnny Cage here.
Yeah, he already went out and said that he's gunning for it.
I just don't. I don't know.
He doesn't have the
I don't
body
think
for
it's.
it. He doesn't
And
have the
even if he
physique for it.
did, I don't know. I just don't think. I think they need somebody with more star power. Like he's good. I think he's good, but I don't know. I don't know who I need. And I know Ryan Reynolds. Everybody wants him,
Yeah,
but I think
no.
he's almost like too goofy.
Yeah,
If that makes sense,
Can't have
even though it's
Deadpool.
being unfair. But I definitely want to see him.
But
I
Deadpool
wanna-
quips like Johnny Cage though.
He does, but he's almost like I don't know. I like him. I'd rather have him than the
It's too
Miz.
soft.
I guess
Too soft.
he just I don't know. I'm not a huge fan.
Don't you need somebody who already knows karate though, or martial arts?
But I think you could teach
A
him, right? That's
no-name?
the whole point for this thing, right?
Can you?
But didn't they like teach? They
Can
taught
you?
Keanu Reeves for the
Yeah.
Matrix. Like they didn't just plug his head in and he downloaded
Yeah,
the
but
code.
he was doing remedial moves, and a lot of that was gunfights. He wasn't doing a ton of martial arts.
What are you talking about? What that
hand-to-hand
dojo
combat.
scene, man? What are you
Yeah.
watching?
But they probably filmed that in slow motion.
You,
I don't want to take away from Keanu. I know he worked hard.
Think
I saw the behind the scenes of
Have you
him
watched
training.
John Wick here? Have you watched this?
Yeah, I've seen the behind the scenes of John Wick. Like I saw him training in the dojo. I've seen it.
They could teach him moves. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe they could get guys from the Raid movies, I guess. I
But
don't know.
also, Keanu Reeves is a psychopath, Drew. Is
That's
Ryan
true.
Reynolds going to do this?
I
Is
don't
The
know.
Miz going to do this?
No. That's why they
You know?
can't do that. And can they, the real question is, can either of them do a split? Obviously,
Well,
the answer is
yeah.
get Jean-Claude Van Damme for this,
So,
even though he's
yeah.
like, it's Hollywood. Maybe he's a washed-up actor.
If you want these people to have realistic fight scenes, if you want it to be a prestigious fighting movie, sometimes you got to have the guys who are fighters first, and girls, who are fighters first and actors second.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of these movies have a lot of wooden performances.
It's a good point. I want to see a couple of things. I want to see Sub-Zero come back as Noob Saibot.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
Yep.
I definitely want to see that. And I think I saw that Joe Taslim signed on for like 4 movies if they make more. He has like a
Yeah,
4-movie
perfect.
contract or something.
Perfect.
So he'll definitely be back.
Yeah.
But what I really want to see is Shao Kahn. We saw like a
Yeah.
CG statue of him. Who would you want to play him? Can you get anybody to play him?
He's tough just because he's so large, right? There's not a lot of large people who can also act. If we're going to have a big name, again, I'm assuming they're going to have a no name or a very low name actor.
I mean, we
who's
can't
more-
just put The Rock in it again.
Is more of a body guy. Yeah, you can't have The Rock. You got to have a body guy. He's got to have a body. Like we're talking Batista. We're talking Jason Momoa.
But like they're too good, good of guys. Like I can't see them.
Yeah,
as
they're
Shao
both
Kahn.
they're both good guys as as a whole. It's hard to see Jason Momoa playing a villain. you know?
It's tough. I don't know.
Yeah.
I maybe they can't really do it. Maybe they have to go like when we did Zack Snyder's Justice League. Maybe they have to go like a dark side where it's more of a CG kind of guy or something.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you wind up with that weird looking porno actor from Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat Annihilation where
Yeah.
it just doesn't work.
I mean, he's supposed to be like 7+ feet tall. Like he's supposed to be
Yeah.
a huge guy towering over people. I know you could like do cameras and like make effects and stuff like that to have a real actor tower over people, but I don't know. There isn't anybody. I don't see too many people out in Hollywood that can pull it off. So I think it's going to be a no name.
I know this is an aside here, but I know you and I played back when we used to live in our apartment together. We played it was MK9, and I
MK9.
remember playing when we got to Shao Kahn, it was just absolutely infuriating.
Oh yeah, he was so
and
cheap.
it was the cheapest shit ever. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
So
it was so ridiculous.
I think we figured out there was like this one. There's this one glitch bitch move that Liu Kang
Yeah.
does. That was it the high punch low
it
punch
was
fire.
the high punch, low
it was
punch.
like it was like doing a combination of high punch low punch
That's
fires.
what it was.
And he had to glitch bitch him to kill him.
Because he had
Yeah.
the hammer and
Yeah.
he just kept getting
Yep.
us, and it was so frustrating. It was absolutely infuriating.
So you got to stand all the way across the screen and just pepper
Yeah.
projectiles at him.
Is there anybody else you'd want to see in a sequel? They sort of touched on Reptile in this one, but it wasn't well done. It was
So-
just like a random like lizard guy.
So a couple of my favorite characters from at least 1 through 3 that I'm more familiar with. I love my guy in 2 was Baraka.
Yeah.
So I
With
don't
the
know if
blade
you could
arms.
realistically do him justice. He was kind of cool in Annihilation, but he didn't get a lot of love. I don't
Yeah.
know if you can like give him any kind of total backstory to like more than just a goon. I think he's always going to be a hired goon.
He's sort of like the hired goon. Yeah,
but I'd like
that's
to see
good.
that. Just let him fight somebody. I'm fine with that.
Just put him in.
Also, I love Cyrex's Sector.
Yeah, the robots
Big fans
are
of those
awesome.
guys. In 3, those were my guys. More Sector than Cyrex.
Me too.
I want to see those guys as well. I would love to see the robots. Again, they were kind of lame in Annihilation.
Yeah, they were really lame.
Was not impressed. Was not impressed. I think they need redemption.
What about Motaro not played by Malibu from American Gladiators?
Motaro's kind of hard to pull off because I think he's kind of lame to begin with, like even in the video game.
It's hard to make, honestly, I gotta say this, it's hard to make a centaur look not sexual and weird.
It's hard. Because
it's weird.
It's because the sex lines that lead into the horse bottom.
Even though not to get TMI here, even though the parts are not there, it's just it's in another part there. But
right,
it's weird. You're right.
It's like he's naked. You see the lines, and then like it's animal bottom. So it's like it's alluding to something that isn't there. But he's totally naked.
So if let me ask you this: if he wore pants, if you had to put pants on him,
horse pants.
If you had to put pants on him, would they be on the Are they on the front? Or are they like on all? Is it like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it on the top and just down on the bottom, or does it go across like underneath him? Like, how do the pants go?
It would still be like to where his pelvis is half showing.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's just a weird thing to think about.
You would still button them, at the same spot.
Isn't it weird to think about Motaro wearing pants?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just a weird thing, but
because
maybe he should have them.
Because who puts pants on horses, Drew?
I mean, it's just, centaurs are just weird, aren't they? It's just a weird thing to me.
A weird sexual creature.
I don't know. I think definitely Quan Chi and Chinook would be an interesting aspect of this.
And those
I don't know what
guys
they're going to go with.
Those guys can be played by anybody because they're not as martial arts heavy.
Yeah.
The reason I only argue with the Johnny Cage thing about being martial arts is because that's his character. He's a martial arts expert.
It's true.
He's Van Damme. He is Van Damme.
I mean, isn't that true? They based the character off of Van Damme, didn't they? Like with the split and all that stuff. I mean,
and like he's always has a chip on his shoulder because people don't think he can really fight. They think he's a pretty boy actor, but he actually does know his shit.
I asked this in the beginning. Would you like to see a Mortal Kombat cinematic universe where they had a bunch of spinoffs? Would you be down with that, or is it too much?
It might be too much. I'm fine with it being a trilogy and then leaving it alone for a while and maybe resurrecting it again later if they want to.
I think the reason why I would like it, and I'll say this, is because they could do more justice to characters, and there isn't a pressure to put as many of them as possible in one movie.
So you want a Sub-Zero? You want a Sub-Zero movie?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that we need a Baraka solo movie or a Reptile solo movie. I think you need maybe a Scorpion Sub-Zero movie where it focuses just on them because it's the best part.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you need like a Motaro movie or a Johnny Cage. Maybe you could do a Johnny Cage movie. That would be interesting.
But that goes back to the beginning where I said I'd rather it be a series. If they're going to do it, if they're going to do that, if they're going to do a cinematic universe, I'd rather it be a prestige series, not on some crappy, not like a crappy Fox thing, but actual put money into it, HBO, Netflix, Hulu, the big boys.
So maybe let's ask this before we wrap up here. What did you think of it just in general? We talked about your expectations in the beginning. Did it meet them? Did it not meet them? I'm very curious about where you think this movie lies, like maybe from a rating standpoint, and how it ranks against the first one, the second one. We'll leave all those web series and everything out. Just talk about the movies, not the animated ones. Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and then Mortal Kombat 2021. Like, where do you put this?
It's tough because there's an obvious 3, and that's Annihilation. So I think these two movies are kind of similar in tone, the first one and 2021. I'm going to go 2021 as first ahead of MK1 just because I feel like the CG was better and it was a little more serious and grounded. And I thought that the acting was better. Just overall, just a little bit better. The coat of paint was a lot fresher.
I really liked this movie because of, my boy Joe Taslim playing Sub-Zero. I love the aspect of Sub-Zero, and I like the way that they did the Sub-Zero Scorpion. They just didn't give me enough of it. And I think that was the thing that maybe left me with a sense of wanting more. However, I did really enjoy the movie, but I think watching this made me realize how different it was from the first one. And actually, and this isn't a knock against this one, but it made me realize that the first one actually is a good movie. It's
Yeah, it's
it's
not
a
bad at all.
1995 movie, and I get like, but when you look at it as an adaptation of a video game, they actually did it pretty much justice, and there was some
Yeah.
good fighting, and the way that they were true to the characters is pretty good. Honestly, it's really hard for me to rank these. I agree with you. Annihilation is obviously the number 3. I'm having a damn hard time figuring out which one, and it's kind of a cop out, but I like them both for different reasons.
Right.
And maybe the first one is just like my number one out of the nostalgia factor of it. But I did really like this, and I'm excited to see where it goes. It definitely had its problems. Like, I'm not going to say it was a perfect movie, but I don't think it was necessarily like the director's fault or anything. I think it was sort of the writing and some of that aspects of it. But I did really like it.
Yeah, it's a classic 6.5 to 7 out of 10.
Right.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely excited to watch the next one. I've
Yeah.
read rumors that they're on point to make another one, and Warner Brothers really liked it, and they're ready to kind of greenlight it. So I'll be really excited to see what the next one has in store, and I'm very curious to see what they decide to do with Cole Young and
Yeah.
whether they're going to make him the forefront or they kind of push him off to the side a little bit.
What if they killed him in the first 5 minutes?
They,
That
I
would
mean,
be
they
great.
could.
That would be great.
I don't think a lot of fans that watch the movie really like the character. I thought
Yeah.
the actor was good. I thought the guy was good, but they could have gone more like a Johnny Cage style MMA guy, in my opinion, versus like this
Yeah.
weird rubber suit looking weird
Yeah.
fire
Punching
poker
bag.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just didn't really like him very much. But I'm curious what everyone else thought of this movie. Did you watch it? What'd you think? Did you like it? Where does it hold up against all the other films? Send us an email, thelastrodpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our website. There's a contact form, thelastrodpodcast.com. Hit us up on Twitter at thelastrodpod. Tweet us. Let us know. Did you like this movie? It's definitely getting mixed reviews. Check out our
Yeah.
Facebook page, facebook.com/thelastrodpod, and send us a message on Instagram or leave us some comments on there. And definitely curious to hear what people think. And we'll be back in 2 weeks here on Thursday, May 20th with a new episode for you guys.
See ya.
See ya. Remember when you were telling me about the adult film version of the second movie
Yes.
and like Jax and the arms? Like this guy, I mean, he really needs his Arcana to star in that movie because
Yeah.
the first set of those arms is not going to be
Not
it's
gonna
not
get the
going to
job
be cut.
done.
It's not going to cut it here.
Not to get the job
You know,
done.
and that's not going to cut it. You know, I could definitely think of a few different things with, you know, this Shang Tsung, and there's a lot of soul sucking to be had. You know,
I think that the adult film industry is really dropping the ball here.
they really, you know, they really have an opportunity to go somewhere. with
A
this.
high budget Pirates level production.
That's what that's what I mean. There's so much opportunity.